Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back another video from Seth the Programmer, and today we have got what if Itachi was at the 5 Kage Summit. I think this is weird because everything that Sasuke could do when he invaded the 5 Kage Summit, I'm pretty sure Itachi could do a hell of a lot better at the time, like the Susanoo, the Amaterasu, you know, everything else. He's faster, he's stronger. I think he's just going to absolutely stomp, but let's see where this video potentially goes.
Hello everyone,
Hello.
It's your host, Seth the Programmer.
Yo.
With me today I have Overweight Man.
Oh, Six is on, cool. Not that I know him as that.
Because, I don't know, it sounded cool, you know. You see Sasuke at the Kage Summit, and you're like, low-key hearing him get compared to Itachi the entire time.
I just don't...
Whether it be his genjutsu, his control of Amaterasu, or whatever it is, he gets compared to Itachi, and I think even in the data books they actually compare Itachi to Sasuke at this point pretty directly.
That's so weird.
I also wanted to go over what it would be like for Kisame to also roll up in there, because, you know, Sasuke had all his boys with him, so we thought, you know, let's throw Kisame in there. So it'd basically be, what if Itachi and Kisame went to the Kage Summit.
Cool, I like this.
I'm going to say hypothetically maybe Obito just threw them in there to harass the Kage, make them, like, listen to his demands better or something, which is sort of what
Actually, no, I'm thinking now. No, I think Itachi would definitely do this better. Everything that Sasuke tried to do,
we'll just say that he
I think Itachi had a better, like, control over.
One of them or something. So that was the
Kasame's...
so we could maybe
adding Kisame into the mix is a big one as well.
Zetsus on everybody or whatever
Right.
as well. That's a possibility. Maybe he'd show up at the very end, you know, like he did with Sasuke. And, I guess we'll kind of just do it in like the story order, where Itachi and Kisame, they would raid the summit, and then the Raikage would be like, "What did you do to my brother?"
Yeah.
He would like ram out there and then
like you could even have them like come in on the same energy. Like let's just say Sasuke captured B as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh, okay,
where's
cool.
your brother at? He kidnapped my brother or something like that.
I mean, if it makes it like less headcanony or whatever, we can just say that Itachi was captured.
Yeah, I mean either or.
You know, like
for whatever reason they're at the summit, and then the Raikage comes in. You know, I'm gonna show you true fury or whatever,
Boom.
and then him and Itachi get the scrapping. So it's Itachi.
Bad line.
It's Itachi and Kisame, and they're in the room. Their main opponents, anyway, at this point, is gonna be Raikage, Darui, and C.
Right.
I sort of think the way Itachi and Kisame work. Kisame normally lets Itachi handle like the big guys. Like,
and then he just like scraps with the rest of them all.
I don't know if I can take him, so I'm gonna let you have.
He'd have a good go though. Jesus Christ.
It was Itachi who opened the hole
to get away from Jiraiya on that. Yeah.
So Kisame is probably gonna start fighting with C and
Darui. Yeah.
And Itachi's gonna fight the Raikage.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, when it comes to the difficulty of both fights, I think Kisame versus Darui and C is going to go fairly simply.
Right.
And there's a few reasons why.
There we go.
Kisame, just before the summit, a little bit before the B fight, Kisame has a fight with Suigetsu.
Yeah.
Who's like holding back. It's while Itachi and Sasuke are fighting. And then after that, when they're having their little conference with Obito, Sasuke tells Suigetsu, just back off Kisame. You can't beat Kisame.
Yeah, you can't get him.
And then we got Suigetsu, who's running into the summit, and he's able to block a holding back Raikage at the same time that Jugo blocks Darui. So if that's the case, you just do some linear like ABC type scaling from there. Like
Kisame's obviously going to be able to handle that better.
Kisame's a little bit stronger. They're around the same level as Jugo, who's faster than Darui. And then C is sort of like the hangback guy. So it's not implied he's all too combative pickle.
Yeah. Combat pickle?
It's
Combat pickle. That goes crazy. You think about food
it's
already.
not implied he's all too combat applicable.
Applicable. Combat pickle.
I don't know if C can genjutsu someone with as much chakra as Kisame. Like, would it be like, since you inject your chakra into someone else to control their senses or whatever, it's just like C drops his chakra into Kisame's ocean of chakra, so it's sort of like trying to dye the ocean red with a drop of food coloring or something like that. So you can't really prove C can genjutsu Kisame. And then with Kisame versus Darui, like I said earlier, he's just faster. He can absorb tons of chakra in one swipe. I think like up to 6 tails of a V1 cloak from B. So that fight's going pretty simply, at least the way I broke it down. But you can get into Itachi versus Raikage.
Here we go.
Yeah. So some interesting facts about Itachi is that apparently it's stated that the only time, or the first time, Sasuke begins to surpass Itachi in really any capacity when it comes to like ocular abilities and all of that, is when he actually gets the EMS.
Right.
So everything you see in the War Arc versus Jubito, what you see versus Sage Kabuto.
I mean, yeah, which is fair.
All of
Jesus
those
Christ, yeah.
scraps would be what would be considered above
Itachi.
Itachi's live, arsenal with his eyes, basically. Like, maybe not with Edo. Maybe Edo Tensei is a bit different because his body's healthier.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say.
He doesn't do anything like holding him back.
But basically, what it's implying is that the Itachi that we see throughout the series that was suppressed versus CM2 Sasuke, Curse Mark 2 Sasuke, and no diff to Orochimaru in like 2 seconds with his Susanoo. Now, when it comes to that, it is highly unlikely that the Raikage would just absolutely just lariat bomb, or whatever, or elbow chop him, or kill him in one hit, as Sasuke is obviously weaker than Itachi, at least implied heavily.
Yeah.
And he could still react to all of those version 1 techniques. And mainly when the version 2 Raikage comes out, Itachi is a sensory type, and he probably knows a lot about the Raikage. Just
definitely, he knows a lot about everyone. He's been around long enough, since he's older.
If he isn't fast enough to react to the Raikage, which
Dude's in the ambush.
I'd actually say he is, granted what we see from Edo Itachi. But even if you said he's, for whatever reason, he's just like vaguely faster than MS Sasuke, he would probably know enough to just activate his Susanoo, or some type of Susanoo, and then the Raikage just actually cannot do really feasibly.
Yeah, because Itachi's Susanoo is so much better than what Sasuke's was that he tried to use there. Like,
that Madara is just kind of like messing around.
Just defensive, isn't it?
And even then, he could barely damage.
Itachi's got the Tosca Blades.
A lot of the time, even Tsunade
And the Yarame?
Punching like Madara as hard as he can. It kind of like blasts chunks in just like the normal ribcage Susanoo, and they kind of have to like do like multiple combos just to like beat up like a really, really like lesser possessed Susanoo for Madara, not even like armored or anything like that. So yes, if Itachi whipped it out, the Raikage probably is not doing anything.
No, no chance.
But I think something that's more interesting, and I was talking to Six about this, is Kisame versus the Raikage. Like how that went down, because we were reading Kisame versus B, and something that Kisame can do is that he can just rip away a bunch of tails from Killer Bee's chakra cloak
with the sword,
which are pretty comparable to the Raikage's version 1 lightning cloak.
Oh, okay.
Right? Version 1 lightning cloak is implied to be comparable to like a few tails of B, or maybe his version 2 state, and then version 2 Raikage is what's comparable to like full 8 tails Killer Bee, as an example. So an interesting like little like dissection you can have is if the Raikage like toyed around with Kisame like he did with Suigetsu and Jugo and all of them, which he literally did. He actually toyed around with Sasuke, even when he's basically like bloodlusted and wants to kill him. He's still suppressed when he first comes out. So something interesting you can say is Kisame might be able to absorb a ton of chakra from the Raikage and potentially whip out his water bubble. And then after that happens, it's really weird.
Yeah, where's he gonna go? Yeah.
It's really weird to say like how that would go down from there. Like, there's a potential solo angle for Kisame with these Cloud Ninja, like 100%. And I think even if the Sand Ninja come and you think they'd give him a problem or whatever, if he doesn't apply the bubble or whatever, Itachi just stomps him out with the Susanoo. Anyways, fully armed Susanoo. I don't think that's even like a contest. But
so,
yeah,
like with Kisame absorbing so much chakra, like I said earlier, and I think Seth mentioned just then as well, he can take up to 6 tails of chakra from B. So the Raikage is comparable to the 8 tails, and he goes
so he
to the version 2
could
cloak, not
do it.
necessarily the version 1 cloak.
Could absorb it.
And even the version 1 cloak it has varying levels of chakra. Like, they can get higher or lower, and obviously, when he's in his weaker state, like when he's getting blocked by Suigetsu, he's not at his full power of his V1 or whatever. Because realistically speaking, V1 and V2, these are just like fan terms to help us better understand what we're talking about when we're referring to the Raikage in whatever specific fight. V1 is just the Raikage holding back his lightning cloak to some unknown degree. So, if he comes in on the same energy he did with Suigetsu, Kisame might just tear that cloak
away. Yeah.
And then what happens with Kisame, when he gets enough chakra, he starts turning enough chakra away from his opponent, he just gets stronger and stronger. Because Samehada turns the chakra back into stamina, and then gives it to
heal
Kisame,
and stuff,
so he just never gets tired. And then when he merges with Samehada and turns into what everyone calls Fused Kisame, he can then absorb chakra just through his skin.
Yeah, like he has taken the sword on, hasn't he?
A massive amount of chakra. Whenever him and B are in the bubble, granted the bubble absorbs chakra as well.
Which is mad.
Him and B are in the bubble, Kisame makes contact with B's in V2, and he just takes it all away. Like, to the point where B can't move and he's just on the ground. Literally the only reason B even survived after that point was because Samehada switched sides and went to his side. But yeah, so like if
Which was a
Fused
bit
Kisame
crap.
comes out, like Seth said, there's like this weird solo angle for Kisame. Like he might be Darui, C, Raikage, Gaara, Tamari,
All of
Kaoru,
them. That's mad that. And then you've got Itachi there as well. Like,
just by himself.
If he gets enough energy, I think. But
yeah.
it also depends, once again, on the Raikage's character, because I do think that the implication of B not being able to use his full Eight Tails form in the Kisame fight was sort of indicative of, like, okay, he's being held back on purpose to make it more tense. So I do think maybe, like, version 2 Raikage may give Kisame too much for him to handle. But, you know, if Kisame has enough time to, like,
he'd still be able to put up a fight against him, though.
The
Jesus.
Raikage toying around, it's, like, way more realistic for Kisame to do something there. But once again, even if it is, like, version 2 Raikage, and for whatever reason he just beats up Kisame, like, Itachi Susanoo is just never losing to the Raikage.
No,
it's just
not at all.
happening whatsoever. And I'd honestly argue that Itachi is actually just too fast for him. I mean, like, a lot of people have been saying this, like, scaling Itachi to the Edo version, but we don't really know how the Edo version is amped or nerfed compared to the original. For instance, the Edo version could just have, like, more, like, longevity in battle, or something like, you know, Hiruzen does, or something like that. We have no idea, really, what exactly the amps are, like, what the sickness does to Itachi, other than just basic cardio and making it really hard to strain himself. So, if that's the case, like, he was scrapping with Naruto and B, and then alongside EMS Sasuke, was scrapping with, like, a pretty late War Arc KCM Naruto. What do you think, he's as fast as KCM 2 at that point, 1.5, or whatever have you, when they're fighting Jubito? That's way beyond the Raikage's pay grade, as we know.
Definitely,
so,
Jesus.
I do not see that happening at all with the Raikage's favor. But if you go then to May, which would happen, they'd go to May. May just gets obliterated.
Yeah, she got no chance. What's she gonna do? What's she gonna do?
May is undoubtedly the weakest of the five.
Yes.
You get this what I like to call perspective panel, or panels in the Madara versus the 5 Kage fight.
Yeah.
Where it shows you how each of the 5 Kage are doing against the Susanoo clones. I think Anoki's like vaporizing some, Tsunade's body slamming some with punches, and the Raikage's actually body slamming some, like with his wrestling moves. Gaara traps some in sand, and May like melts the arm of one and still gets punched. So I think it's
she's not doing anything.
Pretty clear that May is the weakest of the 5 Kage there.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the more interesting things to go from there is then we see Mifune try to slash Sasuke. If base Sharingan Sasuke is blocking that, okay, Itachi is 100%.
Definitely got it.
If Danzo knows that Itachi's rolling up into the summit, he'll probably run away, just like he did when Sasuke was.
Yeah.
So that'd have to be like a post-summit fight as well. I think the most interesting confrontation would be with Inoki, Now, in actual like canon or whatever, by this point, the Zetsu activated, started stealing all the Kage's chakra, and they would give it to Kisame and Itachi. And apparently, if Inoki tries to particle style any of them, he would just save them if they couldn't react to it. Apparently, so by that point in the summit, it's pretty much just kind of GG. Now, Itachi versus Inoki is like its own whole topic, same with Kisame and all that as well. But what do you think about it? Like, I don't even think it's necessary to answer, because by that time, once again, Obito gets there.
And just stops it all,
honestly,
doesn't
they
he?
might
And then
capture
declares the war.
Raikage as a hostage.
Yeah, take him
They'd
away.
probably get Mei as a hostage at least, like 100%. But what do you think would happen if they actually had to scrap Inoki? In the hypothetical,
I
they probably
think
wouldn't.
if they have to fight Inoki, like say Obito is less willing to help Itachi than he is to help Sasuke, because he kind of doesn't care if Itachi dies.
There's that,
He's trying to manipulate Sasuke at this point.
Maybe he's like a liability,
so,
you know.
If Obito's not gonna enter, and we have Inoki versus Kisame and Itachi at this point, I think it goes sort of the same way it did in the other room with the Raikage. The reason being, Inoki is definitely part of the 5 Kage that were weaker than Hiruzen. Like it's just stated. It's stated implied just multiple times. Hiruzen was the strongest of that.
He was an absolute legend.
And I don't think Inoki's getting any stronger. If anything, Inoki's getting weaker because he's
old.
Man. He'll probably peak. Maybe he like keeps up his physical peak or something like that, similar to Guy. But Inoki should be weaker than Hiruzen. And then if you scale Itachi over Hiruzen the way everyone does, like through Orochimaru or through the Sannin, him just being generally stronger than the Sannin you're seeing at that level, I mean, you get pretty clear Itachi over Inoki scaling. And then with Kisame and his chakra draining abilities, it's a bit weird. How do we say like Kisame's Samehada would interact with particle
style? Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah.
Particle style hits it, but Samehada is just absorbing it at the same
time. Yeah.
Like it's like a Renegon absorption thing, or is the particle style like so weird that it would just melt the sword or something?
Yeah, like what would actually happen?
How much chakra is in the particle style blast? We don't actually. There's like no way to quantify like this particle style blast has exactly like 19 tails worth of version 1 killer bee. Like there's just no way just to say that. So it's kind of weird. It's implied Inoki doesn't necessarily have like massive amounts of chakra whenever he's mentioned, and it's more so as like his willpower keeps bringing him back into fights and stuff. One thing I'll say specifically about Inoki is I think he has insane attack potency for a Naruto character, in the sense that I think his particle style hits harder than any of the Kage.
Yeah, definitely. Jesus Christ.
But one thing I think that Inoki has that's like weak for him is he's not very fast, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is he's clearly slower than the Raikage when they fight Madara. Like, the Raikage is clearly like the fast one there. You know what I mean?
So would they get to him before he even had a chance to like?
When he's like flying around with
do his
Edo nerf Datara.
Itachi and Kisame would get in there first, surely.
Not saying he's nerfed Datara level, but like that's really like one of the only other examples. And then other than that, you have like KCM Shadow Clone help him fight Mu, and then the Shadow Clone just kind of blows Mu away. So.
I mean, there's also like if you want to contain Inoki being faster than the Raikage, which you mean, come on now. But Inoki literally gets on the Raikage's back to lighten him because he's like the fastest one there, so that they can move around the battlefield faster. So. Yeah. So I don't know. Even if he is faster than the Raikage, it's not by a significant degree from what we know of. And I don't really believe like. The Shadow Clones are going to be like 800 times Raikage's speed, and Inoki scales to that or something. It just doesn't seem implied with the 5 Kage battle, like at all, in my opinion. But so I mean, if Itachi scales like to Sasuke, he's above Sasuke, just pretty objectively. He might even be on the bridge of EMS Sasuke while alive, depending on how you interpret Edo or whatever. He should be like way fast enough to handle Inoki. Even if you think Inoki, for whatever reason, is just so durable, he can handle like a continent nuking meteor
gear, like just no nerf. He just handled all the energy all himself. Like it wasn't dispersed anywhere else. Tosuke Blade.
GG.
Yeah. Tosuke Blade.
Yeah, yeah, GG. Tsukuyomi, you know, like he is.
It's got so much stuff he could use.
Like, there's just so many ways Itachi could win, as well as the fact that if Kisame is fast enough or has the ability to absorb particle style, which once again, absorbing particle style, that is its own little discussion. It's kind of unwatchable. I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you think Kisame can absorb particle style? Because he could absorb
really
just
don't
like
know.
Bijou on contact, you know, which is pretty impressive. And Bijou cloaks are considered like godly amounts of chakra. Like
So,
Jinchuriki chakra is
potentially.
considered so massive, it's like incomparable, you know. So, I do think it's probable, and Kisame is probably fast enough to scrap with Inoki if Datara and Sasuke and the Raikage are. So, that's just my take on it. I think that at the end of the day, though, they probably wouldn't fight Inoki. Obito would step in and be like, alright, we got a hostage. Like, you wanted to listen yet? You know, like, you're going to war. And then he and the boys would just, like, vanish into the ether. And that would be it. But, yeah, anyways, that's all I have to say about the video. I don't know if you have any more to add to that.
The only thing I would say is, just for the comments, keep in mind, this is a 5 Kage that aren't as well coordinated as they were with Madara.
Yeah.
Right. We're more so putting Itachi and Kisame in the same position that Sasuke went through in the manga. Like those set, it's almost like a gauntlet.
Yeah,
it's like almost like the Kage
like
gauntlet. Like you know, if you're playing like Storm, it's like, all right, mission 1, Raikage, Darui, and Sea battle, and then mission 2,
just keep going.
Chojuro battle or something like that. You know, that kind of energy. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time.
That was cool. Yeah, Itachi just got it better. Because obviously, like, he hasn't got Itachi's eyes yet. He gets that after the fact, doesn't he? So, Sasuke does. So, yeah, at that point, Itachi could do everything better than what Sasuke could do. His Susanoo was just beastly, man. And like I said, Tosuke Blade and Yadamir. Just insane. Yeah, Tsukuyomi. But his Amaterasu was better. So. Interesting one though. I like that they actually go into the actual discussion and not just be like, yeah, easy. But yeah, cool. Alright. Thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, link in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is all I ask to help support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. And special thanks to Snidely Whiplash, who's currently donating $50 to the Patreon page. That is amazing. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys, all you guys, next time.